Resources Commission did hold a goal-setting meeting. The Commission chose to carry over the 2010 goals for continued implementation in 2011, and that includes greenways, neighborhood environmental groups, and trash hauling. In addition, the Commission does want to increase environmental public outreach efforts and continue work on the wetland, shoreland, slope, and Mississippi critical area regulations in 2011 if possible. So I thought we could look at the status of the goals and determine how best to implement these goals in 2011. So first we have trash hauling. On March 28th of 2011, the City Council did adopt a resolution of intent to organize collection. This is required by state statute in order to begin the organized planning process, as you know. So staff will present a scope of work to the City Council on April 25th, that's next Monday, which will outline the city's strategy for accomplishing the statutory requirement. And part of that strategy we're proposing would include the formation of a trash hauling working group, is what we're calling it. This group will be made up of 2 City Council members and a maximum of 3 Environmental and Natural Resources Commissioners. And we do want to look at having this working group meet approximately twice a month for 3 months to conduct the analysis and review of various collection systems. This will comply with that 60 days of planning period. And the working group would report their findings to the full City Council. So an update on greenways. Secondly, the Greenway Subcommittee did begin planning for programming in the Holloway Beaver Creek Greenway for 2011. This greenway was chosen because of the natural resources projects which are proposed in this greenway for this year. The subcommittee to date has scheduled a Greenway neighborhood event for Saturday, May 14th, and that'll be held at Hillmurray High School. The residents living in or near the Greenway will be invited to the event, and it will include a presentation on basic greenway concepts and the ecology of this particular greenway. We'll spotlight programs within that greenway, and then future years or take on the challenge next to spotlight other greenways. The neighborhood environmental groups, an update on that. In 2010, the subcommittee did focus on energy efficiency and conservation by partnering with Metro Clean Energy Resource Team and Xcel Energy. We presented an energy efficiency workshop and also worked with Government Television Network to produce Spotlight on Maplewood in March and April, where we spotlighted energy efficiency and conservation goals and objectives. The subcommittee will be interviewed on ways neighbors can join together to improve energy efficiency in their homes and the community as a whole. So a couple ways we've tried to get the word out on these neighborhood environmental groups. So as an idea, during the last meeting, the group discussed expanding efforts into other environmental areas, such as working with the Greenway Subcommittee, or working more closely with our partners, the Nature Center, because they have a lot of great resources but don't have the means to go out, door knocking to form those environmental groups. So there's a lot of great ideas on how to expand that. So tonight what we're looking at is to review those goals, to determine how best to implement them throughout the year. And we're looking at the Greenway and Neighborhood Environmental group. Those were an official subcommittee. So determine if you want to continue those as a subcommittee. If so, the same members or new members. And then finally, on the trash hauling subcommittee, we should disband that subcommittee and determine the same or new members appointed to this trash hauling working group, and kind of get your take on availability for that working group. And for your information, last year on the Environmental Neighborhood Group, the subcommittee was Judith Johannesson, Randy Edmondson, and Carol Mason Sherrill. And on the Greenways was Ginny Yingling and Dale Tripler. And on trash hauling was Bill Schreiner, Dale Tripler, and Carol Lynn. Thank you.
Commissioner Tripler.
The first thing that caught my attention was, I wish you were right, but unfortunately it's not 60 days and 60 days, it's 90 days and 90 days. In fact, I wish it were 6 days and 6 days, but trash haulers
Right, sorry about that.
have the statute that they can back up. Yeah, and I'm fine with disbanding the trash hauling group. Unfortunately, Carol's not here, nor is Bill. And possibly, and I like the idea of being part of the work group, if the commission's okay with me continuing on with that, although I will have a problem in May. I may not be able to make 2 meetings in May, but I don't see any problems in June and July. So, and I think the greenways, we're just really starting to get moving on that, so I think it'd be a good idea for us to continue, although we could probably use another member if somebody wanted to join us, or I could drop out of that and focus just on the trash, so whatever is anybody else wants to say.
Judith?
I have been attending some of the meetings of the Greenways Subcommittee, and I would be interested in being part of that, too. Continuing that.
I was on the neighborhood group, and I'm going to be working with Maplewood Nature Center to put together an education piece for Waterfest, and so I'm interested in continuing that. I know we were looking at, and I'm not sure what's coming forward, but I would be willing to work with a group to look at appropriate places to do neighborhood initiatives or education pieces. Oh, sorry.
All right. That's all right.
Commissioner Johansson.
With regard to the neighborhood groups, too, I think was pointed out several months ago, several suggestions were made as to how we might get a better focus, because it's a rather broad issue covering all of Maplewood, and organizing it is a little bit cumbersome. So one of the suggestions that was made, and I think it was you, Sean, that had actually brought up this idea in the first place, which I think is a good one, and that is perhaps continuing our work with, in keeping along with other of the subcommittees, for example, the Greenways Committee, which is now focusing on just one greenway, and I think that's a very ripe situation for the establishment of neighborhood groups because of the issues involved and the needs of the area to work together to promote the greenways and to see what they can do as in small groups that are adjacent to the greenway areas and so on, right in that particular area of Maplewood. So I think that would be a wonderful idea for actually working on neighborhood groups for specific issues, and not necessarily a general neighborhood group that would be continuous, but something that would answer the needs of a particular time and place.
Was this come in connection with the neighborhoods that Ramsey Washington Metro Watershed District was identifying for working on, and specifically for around reducing the impervious surfaces and adding native plants? I know that was part of that conversation too.
Right, so the neighborhood groups should consider also partnering with the Watershed District on their work with the churches near the Phelan Lake Watershed District. And next year we'll probably, or after the Holloway Beaver Creek Greenway, we'll take a look at that Phelan Chain of Lake Greenway in particular, and that'd be a good time to focus on that with the Watershed District. So some great opportunities there. So I have not heard from Carol Mason Sherrill or Bill Schreiner on their wishes to stay on one subcommittee or another. I did hear from Carol Lynn. She doesn't think she'll have the time to put into the trash hauling working group. So if there is another interested party that might be available to meet 2 times a month for about 3 months. And I know it can be a big commitment. And if we're struggling here tonight, we can kind of continue this discussion when all the members are here. But I think in particular, we're really looking for this trash hauling working group because we have to get that started within the next 2 weeks or so.
Can we, but you need something tonight, not waiting till next month when we meet again? Is that what you, because the work is starting now?
Well, maybe if we could just hear from all commissioners on their interest for one or another, if possible.
Art? I've been working on the Greenways, and I've really enjoyed that, so I'd like to stay on the Greenway Committee. I got sort of hauled into the trash hauling committee for some of the work that we were doing, and I actually find that very interesting and would be interested in maybe continuing on the new working group. The only question I'd have is when you think the meetings are likely to occur. Are they going to be evening meetings, or would they be daytime meetings?
We were hoping for daytime meetings, if possible. Fridays.
That's
Just throwing that
easier
out.
in the winter to give up my
Just
Friday
throwing
off.
that one out there. No, we could.
In the summer, it's a lot harder. I suppose if we did it like early in the morning or something on a Friday, but
Everything's on the table. We're just looking for some options.
yeah,
Evenings would be fine.
yeah. I'll offer to do it tentatively if there's nobody else that's interested. But
Sadly, I know my schedule isn't going to allow for it.
Well, and like I said, I'm on the Greenway and the trash, and I'd like to stay on both, but I'm flexible. So if somebody else wants to get on those and there are too many members, then I'm willing to back out. So.
Okay, so we don't have to belabor this here tonight, but I did hear that Commissioners Tripler and Yingling are interested in working on this trash hauling working group, and I'll also contact Bill Schreiner to see if he's still interested, and then we can work together on appropriate schedules. I know it's difficult for many to meet during the day, so we, of course, will accommodate any time frame. We just want to move along at a fast, or at the appropriate pace here. And in the interim, maybe it might be appropriate to